Hello, mamas, and welcome to Playfully Faithful Parenting. It is time for Mama and Jesus time, and so grateful you are here. And we are going to look at Isaiah today. And Mama, I just want you to feel so encouraged by our verse today. We are looking at Isaiah 52:7. You've probably heard it before, and maybe you've considered it in the realm of parenting, but maybe you haven't. And so I just pray that you would have fresh eyes and fresh ears for this verse today, that you would just hear this verse and be blessed and encouraged and feel beautiful in a new way today. So it says, "How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of the messenger who brings good news." The good news of peace and salvation, the news that the God of Israel reigns. That is you, Mama. If you are pursuing Christ, and if you are teaching your kids to pursue Christ, then you are a messenger who brings good news. And that means you've got beautiful feet. You, and not just your feet, but you are beautiful. And it is because not of what you look like, but because of the message that you are bringing to your children every day. And I want to break this down and look at this verse a little bit deeper and to different aspects of this message that we have the opportunity to share with our kids. So the first part, it says, who brings good news. Good news, the gospel, is another word for good news. And what is the good news? This says the news that the God of Israel reigns. Yes, God reigns. He is in control. But now that we are on this side of the Testaments, we are in the new, we are living past the Old Testament. We are living AD, we are living after Christ. We have even more good news, and we get to take that little G that's here in Isaiah and put a big G on it. It is good. It is so good. And that is the news that Christ died for us and rose again. He didn't just die for us and stay there. He rose again. And mamas, it can be a challenge to bring the fullness of the good news when you don't share the bad news. And this can be difficult, right? We don't want to tell our kids, you're a sinner. Without Jesus, you're going to hell. Like, no, that's not what we want to tell our kids. But there's truth in that. And we do need to find a way to lovingly tell our kids the truth, because the good news is only good because there was bad news. And so I'm not saying, tell your 2-year-old they're going to hell. No, please don't. But we do need to be transparent with the reality of sin. And we need to tell our kids about sin and the broken fallenness of the world. And our kids need to know that they are a part of that. And then it can be really natural places to add this into your day when your kids mess up or when you mess up. So that by sharing those times when you mess up, you're showing that you're a part of that problem too. And it doesn't feel so condemning to your child. It is we together are broken. We together need Jesus. We together have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. We, not you. The you is what feels judgmental and condemning and shaming. The we is filled with empathy and understanding, compassion, and hope, because we together know the hope of Jesus. And so, Mama, we get to bring the good news. And that means we have to share the bad news, the truth, the full news as well, so that that good news is received with so much more gratitude and understanding and depth and enthusiasm. Because remember, Jesus told I think it was a Pharisee that that the parable about the one who has forgiven, who, like if someone had a debt, like a small debt, and it was forgiven, and then another person had this huge debt that was forgiven, who would be more grateful? And the one with the large debt. Well, yes. And so we have to understand the debt, right? To really be able to appreciate the gift that Jesus is and that he offers to us. And so how beautiful on the mountains are the feet of the messenger who brings good news. That's the fullness. That's the whole gospel, is good news. And so that means we have to tell our kids the truth too. And then it continues on and says the good news of peace and salvation. Peace. We have an opportunity in my house. It's every day to teach my kids about peace. Peace amongst each other, peace in their hearts, peace out in the scary world. A couple weeks ago, there was an armed robbery just down the road from my kids' elementary school. It was, I believe, the first week of school. It was the first Friday of school. So here are my tiny little kindergarten twins who still are in 5-point harnesses because they're not big enough to ride in boosters yet. And I've sent them off to a school that I love and a teacher that I trust. But I get this text and I see on Facebook that there is this armed robber loose in the neighborhood of my children's school. And my 4th grader is there also. And I have to trust Jesus. I have to find my peace in him. And, that's hard. But then for me to see my girls come home and they know about this bad guy who was out there, their kindergarten teacher, they went on lockdown, they're safe and everything, and it's good. But there was no peace in their hearts that night. They were so scared of this bad guy who hadn't been caught, still hasn't been caught. And yet they're so scared. There's no peace for them. They can't sleep in their rooms. They don't want to be alone. They want to stay with us. They want to make sure every door and window is locked. And when we tell our girls about Jesus, one of my twins says, then Jesus can come out of my heart to protect us. She knows that Jesus lives in her heart. She has asked him there, and she knows that he lives there. But there's still this childlike not childlike, childish, and not in a bad way, but in a perfectly developmentally appropriate way, concreteness to her thinking. And for her, she wanted to let him out so that he could protect our family, so that he could be available to protect her and to keep her safe, because she knows that that's what he does. And it was so beautiful. And I was not horrified at all, because I understood that she can't think so abstractly, that Jesus being everywhere and in her heart and in the world and with God in heaven all at the same time is a hard concept. And I get that for her. And so it was so beautiful to hear her offering up all the peace that she had to protect herself and her sisters and her family from this broken, sad person who had made poor choices and maybe does not have Jesus in her heart. And she said, Jesus can come out to protect us. That is about seeking Jesus to find peace. And she did sleep. We had my husband and the 4 older girls had a sleepover in the living room, and all stayed together. And then was fine. And then you know what? The next Friday, some person in town decided to walk by the school with a gun in his pants, hanging out of his pants. And they went on lockdown again. And this time, that same daughter who wanted to let Jesus out to protect us saw the man and saw the gun. But she wasn't scared this time. She knew peace in a new way. She knew Jesus had protected her the week before and that he would protect her again. And so this time, there was no fear. There was no need for a sleepover. There was no spending the night talking about this bad man. There was peace. Because Jesus had protected her once, she knew he would do it again. And that was beautiful. How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of the messenger who brings good news, the good news of peace and salvation. Salvation. We all need it, right? That's going back to that gospel, that capital G, good news. The news that the God of Israel reigns. He does. Mama, let him reign in your family. Let him reign in your heart. Trust him. And let your being a messenger of the good news speak truth and life and strength and wholeness into your own heart this week. So here's how I want you to play this week. If you can, go get a pedicure if it's something that you enjoy. And if you can't go do it, just give yourself one and look at those beautiful feet and think about the message that you are so privileged to share with your family. Good news, peace, salvation, that the God of Israel reigns, that he reigns here, and that he reigns over the entire world. Mama, thank you. You have the Holy Spirit and you can do this. On behalf of God, thank you for loving and playing with his children. Have a great week, Mama.